Hello and welcome back. My name is Dave, and today we got a nice tear-jerking, heart-wrenching film for you. It is Memorial Day. Yes, I had that the right way. Good. It's a good start. From World War II to Iraq War, when men became heroes. This is a nice story actually of a couple of grandchildren who are on their grandparents' sort of land, their home, staying over one day, and of course at the back the grandparents had this little barn, as it was, where the grandchildren sort of go looking, sort of hide and seek and all that, sort of playing games. And one of the lads, grandsons, pick out his box, what happens to be the grandfather's World War II footlocker. So the lad opens up the box and discovers a lot of items in there from his grandfather's past. Pictures, guns, sort of like food and tins, you know, like that sort of idea, cigarettes, papers, magazines. Amazing amount of stuff actually. It's quite interesting to see what's he got in there. And it takes up to his grandfather sat on the porch and wants him to explain what is all this stuff and what is it from. Not only did the grandfather not want to explain it, he told the lad to go put it back after he locks it up, and just really gives the lad a very hard time, which I think is quite unfair. But you can see it on the grandfather's point of view, where it means a lot to him. He's a very emotional guy, and he doesn't want to really explain his past, and it takes a few hours, I believe, it feels like a few hours in film time, for the nan and say, go on, show him what it is, tell him what's about, and just explain it, what it is, and hopefully you get the gist and you can evaluate it and try and help you sort of self and relieve the pressure and all the guilt maybe what's been hanging on. So the grandfather sort of tells the lad, go and get the box back and I'll explain to you what it's all about. So when the lad brings it back, he opens it up on his porch and goes through a nice long lengthy story about when he's at war and what happens, and Grant just gets hold of his past and all the horrors and just lets it go really. And it's quite a special film actually. It really does quite mean something to you if your grandparents are in war, your father's in war, your uncle, family members really. And yeah, it's just a real nice film. It's laid out rather well and it's filmed rather particularly well, and it just feels really emotional. It feels really, you get really attached to the people who are in the film. It's just quite nice. I do quite enjoy it. Later on, the grandson, who gets a bit older, starts off 13 in the film, and he must be about his mid-20s back now, so get a few years on, and you see him in the Iraq War, and he's fighting his way through, and he's taken on board what got told a few years back by his grandparents, and he's sort of learning and getting used to the fact that war is not the prettiest thing in the world, and it's never going to be, and he just tries to tweak things here and there and helps his buddies out, his comrades, tries and stay alive basically, and it's rather well filmed as well in that aspect. You've got to try and do World War One, because you've got to try and do World War Two, you've got to try and do the Iraq War, and you've got to try and do something that's like middle in between years sort of thing. And everything's really well laid out. The editing's fantastic. It's sort of flash forwards and flashbacks, you know, into the film. It works particularly well, and I like how they do it. It's really well proportioned, really well timed. Everything doesn't drag out. It feels well edited. Everything's in there it needs to be in there, I believe. It doesn't seem to miss out much. Okay, it's not every fact and detail is going to be in the film. You've got to give some leeway to it. It's going to be missing a few things, but like goes for every film really. If you made a film, you must have to be there, aren't you? So it's that sort of way. But it seems to be rather just well done. I just find it rather exciting. Not often you get two family members in the old film there, so you've got about two Cornwalls in there, and it's quite special. I think it's quite nice having some family in there, and you get the gist of what's happening then, because it's almost like a true story, almost. The case is really nicely laid out as well. You got Memorial Day. Basically, that's the day his grandparents told him about the war and all that. So you got on top there is World War II, and you got sort of grandfather and grandson on there, sort of look to him, and you get some more the Iraq War on there, sort of thing. So on the back you got nice pictures again of World War II and all that, nice mishmash sort of things happening there. So you got both sides of things, and it's quite a little bit of text there, and you get some nice special features. And special features are quite good. I particularly like the making of Memorial Day. It gives you quite an insight to what's actually happening, where you go, locations, artwork, clothing, design, scripts. It gives you quite an insight in the way they filmed it and who they used and where they were. It's really quite nice. It's not too long, but it's long enough. Sometimes I wish they went on for a good couple hours. I just think it's fascinating. It's almost as good as deleted scenes. Yeah, on the inside you get basically nothing but the disc. It's a flat disc, no textures or anything. So, and it's nice red box actually. I quite like that. Nice and simple on the inside, but I do wish you put a booklet inside, but I can't really do anything about that, so it's a shame. But for a collection wise, I think it's a good one to add, and it gives some kind of depth into what you own. It doesn't just focus on either love, romance sort of stuff, to war, to animations. It gives you that sort of balance between two wars and a bit of loving and a bit of history, a bit of teaching, a bit of drama. It gives you a bit of all-round sort of feel to it, and it's really quite nice, and I quite enjoy it for that. Today, Memorial Day is a recommended film for you, and I do thank you very much for watching and sticking around, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.